This is music, and these are the 30 most expensive vinyl in my collection according to Discogs. Get ready for a disappointment, because the reason why I'm making my contribution to the, it's a genre of videos in the VC almost, right? The X most expensive Y in my collection according to Discogs. The reason why I'm making this contribution to that genre of videos is to show you that you can have a legit collection without necessarily having a shit ton of super rare or super expensive items in that collection. I am a music first guy, so I am mainly interested in picking up vinyl records that I like listening to. Obviously, I would like them to be in a condition that I can live with, and that kind of depends on the record itself. I have some records that are G only, and I'm fine with that because that's what I was looking for, and other records I would like to have a VG plus or something like that. So I have gone by the maximum rather than the median, and that's because looking at the maximum can give you some pretty interesting insights into what people are actually willing to pay for certain records. So the median would probably be more representative of what an item actually does normally sell for on Discogs, but the maximum gives you an idea of what some people are really willing to pay. So don't expect anything super expensive or super rare. There are some rarities actually in this collection, but they are not super expensive. In fact, the most expensive item according to Discogs in my collection is very rare, but it's still kind of towards the bottom of a lot of other videos like this, okay? So don't expect to see anything that's sort of crazy in terms of the pricing. I've gone by the euro, and that's simply because most of the sellers I buy from on Discogs, they list their items in euros. I actually have my own sort of buyer's setting that's in Danish kroner, obviously, because that gives the most precise, most relevant pricing that's relevant to my, budgets and things like that. So, yeah, I've gone by the maximum. It's set for euros. I have excluded box sets, obviously, and we're only looking at vinyl. So, let's get to it. Up first, this one here, the reissue of Faith No More's The Real Thing, and this one sold, the maximum is 74.24 euro in Discogs, and it's nothing super special. You have some hype stickers on it and so on and so forth. This one is still in the shrink wrap, but I'm going to remove it because I don't like having shrink wrap on my records. But yeah, it sold for 74.24. I don't know why. I did check out the selling history, and the ones that's sort of what were kind of the most expensive tended to be sold as mint or near mint and sealed. But yeah, nothing special about that, so that's interesting. The next one, also kind of a mystery why people would pay that much for it. 65 euro, Moscow Calling by Gorky Park. It's not even a great album. There's some great songs on it. Half of them are, good to great in my opinion, but the rest of them are meh. So it's not even a great album. And it kind of, I think it flopped when it came out because they were just too late to pull the trigger. The first album was a great hit in most of Europe, and then they just took too long to get to this one. So it was a hit in Scandinavia, and that's about it. I don't know. It's nothing super special about this one either. Some of the more expensive ones did sell as mint or near mint, but I don't think that's enough to warrant paying 75.65 for it. I certainly wouldn't, because I don't even think it's a great album. As I said, it has some good songs on it, and it's an album that I enjoy listening to from time to time. Sort of listening to the good songs and contrasting them with the not so good songs is interesting. The next one at 77.42 euro is Convicted by Cryptic Slaughter. This one does come with a lyrics insert, so I can imagine that maybe people are willing to pay a pretty penny for copies that have the insert. I don't even remember if my copy has the lyrics insert. Let's have a look. It's a very good, noisy, chaotic crossover thrash hardcore album. Yeah, okay, so my version has the insert collage here. Collage. And if I can, there you go. Lyrics. But I did not pay 74 euro for my copy, that's for sure. So, but maybe that's what people are willing to pay for it. I don't know. As I said, musically, it's chaotic, aggressive, really punky crossover album. But I don't know, 77.42 euro. I don't know about that. I don't think I would pay that much. Okay, the next one, Dr. Feelgood. By Motley Crue. I got the In USA #1 hype sticker version. I don't think all of the versions of this one, this particular issue, came with that hype sticker. But yeah, so the maximum is 78.48 euro. That's not what I paid for it. I paid I got away with a considerably lower price, and I didn't buy this one on Discogs. By the way, I didn't buy Moscow Calling on Discogs either. Anyways, because remember, there are other places where you can buy vinyl than Discogs. But yeah, this one here, it is. I mean, you come across it every now and then. I don't think it's super rare, but it's always priced at certainly somewhere between 40 and 60 euro. And that's even a bit much, I think. But 78.48, I don't know. Maybe people are willing to pay for the hype sticker. Maybe there's, I don't know, maybe an original insert or something like that. It's a bit of a mystery. Again, because I'm more of a music guy, so I think it's cool if if I manage to buy a copy that has, inserts and things like that. But mainly I'm interested in the music. The next one, the Red Black Marble limited edition of Senjutsu by Iron Maiden, 79.18 euro, and most people prefer the back cover. This one is just expensive in general. It is a limited edition, but it's expensive in general, so I think that's simply why it's people are willing to pay that much for it. Also, Iron Maiden collectors are known for being willing to actually splurge a bit, to splash out, to pay maybe a bit more than what things are actually worth. So that might be a factor too. That's something that actually a record store owner told me once, that there are Iron Maiden collectors that are willing to pay an arm and a leg and 4 eyes. That means their own eyes and their children's eyes and their grandmother's hearts and whatever, for particular items. So that might be what's at play here. I like this album. It was very divisive when it came out, because all the songs are long. They're kind of like at the same pace, but I like it. It's not an album I listen to that often because it's so long, the entire album, but I like it. Okay, up next, you have Target Earth by Screamer. It's set at, or the maximum in Discogs is 82.53 euro. And I mean, my copy is obviously nowhere near that. I mean, there's a cut here in the corner. It does have the hype sticker, so that might be a factor actually. The hype sticker is just slapped onto the jacket itself, but the jacket I have is pretty worn, so my copy is not worth it. It does come with a 2 sides insert, and some of the more expensive ones were sold as mint, and there was even one that was sold as sealed, and mine has the insert actually, so that's pretty cool. By the way, I did not put the insert in this really like an inner sleeve. It came like this. I thought it's pretty cool. Good example of a band. They look a bit hair metal-y, but it's power metal, I would say, almost borderline progressive, kind of somewhere in between traditional metal and power metal. So I do have a copy with the insert. I don't know if that's what people are willing to pay for it. There is a hype sticker, and there were some copies out there that sold as mint, and even one that's sold as sealed. So that might be it. Musically, it's fucking awesome. So certainly, you know, if you come across a copy of it, no matter, you know, if it has the hype sticker or if there's a cutout in it or whatever, if you come across a copy that is within your price range, I would recommend grabbing it because it's really good. Okay, up next, an Iron Maiden reissue, Dance of Death. This one is, the maximum is 87.22. Remastered reissue, the cover artwork that everybody hates because of the bad computer graphics. I'm weird. I kind of like this cover artwork because of the bad computer graphics and the contrast between them and a better looking Eddie. But yeah, I think this is again just Iron Maiden collectors being willing to splash out a bit to get what they want. I did not pay, by the way, was it 87.22 euro? I didn't pay that for sure. Up next, also at 87.22, Among the Living by Anthrax. It's an amazing album. The music is fantastic, but I don't think there's anything particularly special about this one. So I think it's just people that are willing to grab an OG of a really, really good album. So that's another 87.22 euro. If there is something special about it, I don't know about that special thing, but feel free to educate me on it. Up next, Riot, The Privilege of Power. The maximum here is 93.09 euro. I don't think there's anything particularly special about this issue either. I'm not sure. I couldn't really figure that out. It seemed a bit cryptic to me, but I think maybe one of the issues that sold, you know, at a high price was signed by some of the people involved in this band. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It's a great heavy metal album in any case. So yeah, Privilege of Power by Riot. Up next, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, the band cover artwork. This one, the maximum for this one is 95.99 euro. Part of this is simply that it was banned, redacted, and then the one with the one with the cross came out instead. I think that's part of it. Also, some of these came with some hype stickers. There were, I think, different hype stickers out there. One that said includes all the singles. And I also, as far as I understand, some of the early ones, the first run of this pressing before it got redacted, just came with a sticker that actually had the cross that was used for the censored version. So I think maybe that's why this one, people are willing to pay almost 100 euro for this one, 95.99 euro. It's banned, that's a factor. Some of them came with hype stickers, some of them came with kind of like, you know, goodie stickers as well. It's a great album, I would say. Very good. They never managed to top it, in my opinion. They did come up with Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. They have some good songs on it, but nowhere near as awesome and dirty as this one. Although I have a hard time still digesting Axl Rose's vocals, and maybe also, you know, some other things about him. Anyways, up next, this one here, The Empire Strikes Back. That's another 95.99 euro release. This one is a Japanese pressing that has something to do with it. As far as I understand, it's also kind of like a record store day, although it just said record day, so I don't know if that's a separate thing, but it's some kind of limited edition. I did not know that. I just saw it and thought, oh, I want a Japanese pressing of the soundtrack of my favorite movie of all time, and I did not pay 95.99 euro, that's for sure. Much less. Pretty cool to have it, to be honest. And the next item, pretty much identical, same maximum here, so still 95.99. This is A New Hope, Japanese pressing, also record store day special, or maybe record day special, don't know if it's the same thing, don't care. I'm not a record store day person. If you like record store day, that's fine. I just, you know, I don't, you know what I mean? Up next, DRI, Thrash Zone, 97.28 is the maximum. That's not what I paid for this one. I bought this one from Jürgen Aumann. He gave me a very favorable price. Such a great dude. I don't know what's so special about this one that people want to pay 97.28 euro for it. Maybe it's a signed version, maybe it's one that's sold as mint. The music on it is great, so maybe it's just somebody who really likes the music on it. I don't know. Now we're getting to something that is kind of special. The Sacred Right, the self-released version of this self-titled album. It does count as an album. This one was pressed in 1,000 copies only. The maximum is 98 euro. And yeah, so that's the rarity. Again, I did not pay that much for this one. Pretty good. Hard rock, traditional heavy metal is actually pretty good. So the music on it is actually enjoyable as hell. But yeah, 98 self-released version, 1,000 copies. So I think that explains a lot. Up next, another Iron Maiden reissue, Brave New World, 99.99 euro. I mean, it's a great album. It's a very important album to me. I would listen to it when I was a student, and I'd kind of given up Iron Maiden at that point because Virtual 11, I did not like that album. It's nothing to do with Blaze Bayley. As you know, I love Blaze Bayley singing. I just didn't like the music on that album. So, you know, they came back on this one. Adrian Smith was back, my favorite guitarist. Bruce Dickinson was back. Some awesome songs on this one. So, yeah, it's an important album to me. But 99.99, that's not what I paid for it. It's not what I would pay for it. But I think, again, it just reflects that Iron Maiden collectors are willing to splash out to get what they want. The next one, Breaker by Accept. Don't know what's so special about this one. It's just the regular, you know, censored version. Son of a Bitch is censored. There's one out there where it's not censored, I think, which is probably much more expensive. But yeah, 100 euro. The median is 16 euro. The one that's sold, I think for 100 euro, was sold as mint. So maybe that's simply it. Somebody wanted a mint copy of this one. This one is everywhere. It's a great album. I mean, a heavy metal classic. But I wouldn't even pay 100 for a mint copy of it. You know, I'm much happier paying 10 euro for a VG or VG Plus. But, you know, great music. Up next, this one is perhaps understandable. Arise, Sepultura, OG, pressing 104.85 euro. You don't come across this one that often. I don't think it was a limited pressing back in the day. I just think people don't want to give this one up when they have it. So you don't come across it very often. And it's a thrash metal masterpiece, in my opinion. I think the next couple of albums, similar story. Evil Dead, The Underworld, 104.99 euro. Again, you don't come across this one very often. There's a fantastic riffy thrash metal on it. Great stuff. So I think it's one of these albums that, you know, real heavy metal fans that have this one just don't want to give it up. Great album. So that was Evil Dead. The next one, yeah, okay, that's a bit more understandable. It's another kind of limited thing. Wicca, self-titled, 105 euro, 0.75, printed in 1,000 copies. This is an EP released on the TNT label, but the TNT label is a fake label. It doesn't exist. It's self-released, and they just came up with a fake label name to make it seem a bit more official. So 1,000 copies only. That makes a lot of sense, right? That somebody would be willing to pay more than 100 euro for it. I wouldn't. I didn't. So I feel like I got a pretty good deal on the copy I have. Whiplash, Power and Pain, 106.91 euro. That's not what I paid. I think I paid 30 euro, which is still kind of a lot, to be honest. But I think this is another case. It's kind of like a gem of thrash metal, and I think people that have it just don't want to let go of it on it. So, and I understand that, because it's very cool. It's kind of like a legend in the thrash metal world. So that might also be what adds to the value, and that some people are willing to pay a lot for it. The next one, Blowing Free, Enemy, 107.80 euro. Hard rock from, I think, Austria, and it has this weird kind of cheesy cover artwork that looks a lot like Jack Nicholson. Probably is him. I don't know why people are willing to pay that much for this one. I do know that generally it is pretty pricey when you come across it. Pretty enjoyable music, to be honest. Up next, Atrophy, Violent by Nature, also 107.80 euro. This is another kind of thrash metal kind of legend. So I don't know if it's rare, or if it was a limited pressing or whatever. I just think people are not willing to give it up, and if they are, you have to cough up something for it. I got this one for steel, the one I bought, so I'm happy. In any case, more Evil Dead. So this is Annihilation of Civilization, 110.38 euro. Again, kind of a legendary thrash metal album. I think also maybe some of these are kind of expensive because they haven't been reissued yet, or maybe just recently been reissued. So if you wanted a copy of it, you had to cough up. So I think this is another case of people just not being willing to give it up. And if you want to buy it, you gotta cough up. I got this one for steel too, so I'm happy. The next one, that's a more kind of understandable one. Zoser Mez, Vizier of the Wasteland. The version I have has a hype sticker on it that says featuring Michael Denner and Hank Sherman of Merciful Fate. It also features Kenny Lübke on vocals, and that's kind of interesting because he ended up being a Eurovision guy, but he was a hard rocker to begin with. And it's kind of a weird one, this, because although Kenny Lübke is listed as the vocalist, let's see if I can get it in, there you go, he only sings on maybe 2/3 or maybe even half of the songs. They got another dude singing on some of the other songs, and very weird. But yeah, this one, 117.60 euro. It's limited to 1,000 copies. It was self-released on a label. I think they called it Zozer Music or something like that. The version I have came in this kind of Japanese style kind of pocket. I don't know if that was the original one that it came with. The version I also have has this sticker on it, which suggests that it was owned either by a library or more likely by a radio station. So this one is a rarity, and I know a lot of people want to get their hands on it, especially if you're like a King Diamond fan and fan of the King Diamond universe. It's a pretty good album. I mean, some good songs on it. You have a Merciful Fate cover on this one. That's the Desecration of Souls. You also have Mesmerization Eclipse, which is that a Captain Beyond cover or something like that. I don't know if it came with yeah, okay, so it came with, okay, original inner sleeve. I even forgot. So obviously the Japan style pocket that I have was not the original one. It came with an inner sleeve, so maybe there are a lot of copies out there that don't have the original inner sleeve. That might add to it as well. But yeah, limited to 1,000 copies. I think it has been reissued later on CD, and I think it also came out on CD back in the day. And I think there's also a version out where Kenny Lübke does all the singing. But yeah, those are a mess, so that's understandable. The next one has always been a mystery to me. It's the reissue of To Megatherion by Celtic Frost. So 119.90 euro. It's kind of a mystery. When you see copies of this one, they tend to be very expensive. I don't know if they made fewer of this one than the other reissues, if that's the case, or if it's just because it's a massive, package gatefold. It has a massive booklet in it, but so do the others, the other Celtic Frost reissues. So I don't know. I was really lucky to find a fairly priced copy in a record store in the UK, and I was actually extra lucky because it came with a slight, I think it's in this corner, a slight damage, corner bent, or maybe it was up here, a slight damage. I mean, I can't even see where it is, and they gave me a discount on it, so I got this one very cheap. And it just suddenly, because I've been wanting to grab one of these, right, because I love me some Celtic Frost, and it was hard to find a copy that was fairly priced, and then suddenly this one just popped in. I had it on my want list, and I just pulled the trigger immediately. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that one. It's a great album for sure. It's legendary. The next one here, Napalm Death, Mentally Murdered. This is a very recent acquisition. The maximum is 128.95 euro. That is far from what I paid for this one. This is the 4-track 45 RPM version. There's a 6-track 33 RPM version out there too. I don't know why this one is so special that somebody would pay almost 130 euro for it. Maybe it's a signed version. It didn't say so in the sales history or selling history. I think there were a couple of these that were sold as mint or near mint, so maybe that's why. It's a great EP. It's really interesting because it's from 89, I think. So it's in between From Enslavement to Obliteration, and the first one they did with Barney on vocals. I forgot the title. Harmony Corruption, I think it is. So it's more in the death grind kind of style, more death metal-y, but with Lee Dorian's vocals. So it's kind of like interesting in that sense. Some really great riffage on here, and just some chaotic grindcore blast beating as well. But you know, almost 130 euro. I don't know. The next one. Victims of Science by Gamacide, 129.55 euro. So somebody was willing to pay almost 130 euro for this one as well. This one has recently been reissued on, is it on No Life Till Metal? I think Scott Waters was involved in the reissue in any case. This is an OG, of course. It's one you don't come by very often. I don't know how many were pressed of this one originally, but you just don't see it very often. And when you see an OG, it tends to be very expensive. It originally did come with some different inserts, posters and flyers and things. The copy I have just has the lyrics insert, so there's no poster in it. So I can imagine what people are willing to pay for. Probably copies that, first of all, it's not that common, and then secondly, it's copies that have the poster, you know, the flyer, some of the other things that came with the OG. I did not pay 130 euro for my copy, that is for sure. Great thrash metal. In any case, if you like thrash metal and you're interested in this one, you know, maybe there's still some reissue copies left. I don't even know how many they pressed. But yeah, great stuff. But 130 euro almost, I don't know. The next one is interesting. That's the second artist to make 2 appearances. Cold Lake by Celtic Frost. I think this one, it has been kind of artificially made more valuable than it probably is in terms of money, because Celtic Frost have refused to reissue this one. They've reissued everything else, also the Hellhammer stuff, but they hate this one, so they refuse to reissue it. But there are plenty of copies to go around, actually. Anyways, 146.99 euro. And that's crazy. I think the one that sold for the most was one that was sold in the US, and this is a European pressing. So maybe somebody was just willing to get, you know, a European version of this one over there in the US. I don't know. The copy I have, I paid much less than 146.99 euro. So I think, yeah, there are plenty of these to go around, but because they refuse to reissue it, it's kind of given a false impression of this being a rare item. I think that's really the case. And I have this one on vinyl. I have one on CD as well. There are plenty to go around, and you can find copies that are fairly priced every now and then. So it's just a matter of being willing to wait for it. The next one, on the face of it, seems absolutely bonkers. Triumph Thunder 7, 154.74 euro, and that's crazy because this one you this is everywhere. Open a closet and you'll have a million copies of this one just falling out of the closet. It's everywhere. I mean, it's a great album. The music is enjoyable, 80s hard rock. It's a great album for sure, and the cover artwork is fantastic, but it's not rare at all. I think the minimum was it €9 or maybe even less. So from €9 to 154.74 euro. That's because somebody bought a signed copy of it. That's why. Signed by the band members, according to the selling history. And I have to be perfectly honest, I would never pay that much for a signed copy. To me, a signed copy actually, just to me, right, devalues the item in question, because I like looking at the cover artwork. So I feel like signatures kind of ruin the cover artwork. I do have some albums where there's some handwriting on them, but there's some kind of weird history behind that. So I think that's actually kind of interesting. Maybe I'll make a video on that at some point. And I have one Demon album that has been signed on the front, and I didn't pay a whole lot for that one because it was like a personalized signature. So it's Dear Thomas, something. So some dude called Thomas had it at some point, had it signed. But I would not pay that much for a signed copy of anything, to be honest. And the one that is the most expensive in my collection, and notice we have just made it, we're not even at €200, right? And we will not make it for €200. The most expensive one is this one here, Crystal Knight, 176.40 euro. Danish heavy metal from 1985 or 86. This one was only pressed in 500 copies on a very small label, STC, I don't know if you can see it, STC Records. 500 copies. I understand why people are willing to pay a lot for that one. I did not pay 176.40 euro for sure, but this one was a bit higher than my threshold for what I'm willing to pay for an uncommon item. And I bought this one because the music is great. It's traditional heavy metal, you know, more towards Judas Priest, Accept, things like that. Less towards new wave of British heavy metal. It's a bit keyboard heavy in places, but I like that. And the band, look at that. They look so 80s, right? They look like what cool guys looked like where I grew up, in a lower working class, almost ghetto in Odense. Cool dudes looked like this. They had mustaches, they had mullets. If they could afford it, they had sunglasses. So, and the music is great. It has been reissued. I think it's on No Remorse Records. But I think the reissue is also just in 500 copies. So I don't know if that helps much. There's also a CD version out there, and you can check it out on YouTube. I really like the music. It's great, just traditional heavy metal from back in the day, from a sort of an underground Danish band from somewhere in the middle of Jutland, in the middle of nowhere in Denmark. And the music is really good. It's out on CD. I think I said that. If you come across a copy of, you know, the reissue and it's not too expensive, or, you know, the CD, and you like your traditional heavy metal, I think it, you know, you could pick it up for sure. But I think this is a case where it would make sense. Just check it out. See if you can find somebody uploaded it on YouTube. Give it a listen. See if it's something you like. And if it is, and you come across a copy that's not crazy expensive, I mean 176.40 euro, I would not pay that, even though I know it's only 500 copies out there of the OG, and then 500 more of the reissue. I would not pay that. But as you can see, not entirely crazy in terms of the pricing. There were some rare items. There were some items that were up there price-wise, but I hope I have shown that you can have a collection, and you can even have a collection of that contains some rarities, but you can have a record collection. It doesn't have to be a collection full of items that people are willing to pay an arm and a leg and their neighbor's liver for. You can have a legit collection. Basically, you can have a legit collection consisting of nothing but common items. That's just as legit as a collection consisting of super expensive rare things. So yeah, I hope you found this interesting, maybe informative, maybe crazy, because there were some crazy buying patterns for sure, reflected in the maximum prices. So yeah, those were the 30 most expensive vinyl in my collection as of July 2022, according to Discogs. Thanks for watching.